I have the pleasure to welcome now after the screening Ana Endara and Pilar Moreno, the directors of the film. My name is Vivien Buchhorn. I'm the curator of the section Panorama, and I'm very happy that we have the chance to talk to you digital here today after the people in the cinema saw the film on the big screen, which is great that we are back in the cinemas. And your film is itself a piece of art. And just to start right away, everyone will ask, how did you find Zenobia and what is your story and your connection to Zenobia? Because it seems like such a also such a secret atmosphere, and not only but also a secret itself. So I was wondering, how did you discover it? How did you discover her, and how did everything start?
Well, it started many years ago. I was working in a project, a magazine, trying to find cultural things out of the track. And we were doing like little research in Panama. And one friend told us, you have to meet my grandmother because she is at her house in the museum. So we went to visit her, and I spent a few days there with a friend that was a photographer, and we spent time with her. We met her. She saw us all around the place, and her museum, and her writings, and that visit made a great impression in me. I still hadn't started with my artistic job, and I did like short after that, and I never forget about her. So when I was thinking, I've been working with Anna in few projects of her own before, and then I started to think I wanted us working in a project that was more from my ideas, and I decided I wanted to make a documentary about her. So I went back to search for her and to see what was left of her museum and of her the things she did. And then I knew she died. She died in 2013. So with the help of her family, I went to the place where everything was pretty abandoned, and we reconstructed the museum and a lot of her work for the movie.
So that means if I would go there now, the museum is not there anymore as it is, because you said you reconstructed it for the movie, or is there still, what is there if we would go there?
No, the tropic is really tough on things and very, I mean, kind of aggressive. It grows a lot, it rains a lot. So all the job we did for reconstructing the museum already like a couple of months before was almost gone. And we left it as we use it in the movie, but most of the artworks are made with very fragile things, like from the woods, from the place around, and it's not meant to last. So there is very few things left. But her memory keeps there, yeah.
And is there like an archive? Because you say there is just a few things left. Where are they? Are they stored somewhere else?
No. What we have was this photographic archive that this friend photographer made during that trip. He was also fascinated by her, so he took a lot of time to take pictures of many things, and we used these pictures during the reconstruction as a map. I think the archive is the movie.
That's what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it's the best thing you could do to also, I mean, we are sitting in, we have our background now here, I mean, because it's a bit, and I had this idea because it's a bit what you do in your films, you sort of cover a blanket around us to create like the space and fill it with art itself, and also with art that we wouldn't expect to be art, like to see the beauty in the daily life and the daily routines and in the snippets you probably put on the fridge, or I mean, we know that maybe from our everyday lives, but you create a whole world through this. And for me, the special thing is also that it's a film not only about art, but about how art inspires people and about inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, this bridge of inspiration, that suddenly this art around and this space that you recreated opens up the stories of the women of the village, right? So in a way, it seems to me that there is also a development in the film. At the beginning, they are not inspired, maybe, or not opening up, but the art and the surrounding makes them opening up a lot. And we hear things where we maybe in the beginning didn't expect to hear them. So what was your idea to combine these stories of the elderly women of the village? How was even the connection to the village? I'm interested in that, because for us, maybe if we even don't know Panama, it's hard to understand which village we're talking about, because for us, it's sort of the surrounding, it's the museum, but we get to know a lot of the village as well.
Mm-hmm. The village is a very little place. It's kind of far from the city, and it's a place that is a very hard place to live. And we took time during the year before the filming, going there and trying to get to know these ladies and get familiar with them. And we were like casting between them who will play the role of Zenobia in the movie. So that was our way to get involved with their stories, no, getting to know them. And at some point we decided that we were gonna be, we didn't want to make a biopic or something like that. That was never intended. We prefer to work with the idea that how Zenobia's life, Zenobia's work, Zenobia's ideas impacted, resonate in other people in her town, in us, and in our work, no, in my artistic work, and in the things, all the people that get in touch with her kind of was impressed or moved by the things she did. So that was the idea, no, to bring not only the memories of these women about Zenobia, these women about Zenobia, but also their own resonance, the way they were moved. And one thing we did for the interviews, we put some of the Zenobia thoughts in the kitchen, because we try to create a dialogue between what the Zenobia's words and what they were talking about. And in many cases, the conversations in an organic way went the way about the subjects of the thoughts that were up in front of the table.
Anna, do you want to add something on that?
Yeah, no, I think Pilar covered, but I'm just thinking, remembering like hours of conversations and while we were doing the castings, and how it, all those conversations brought the themes of some of the themes of the movie, like being an old woman in a place like that, and how harsh life can be. And so we decided to, as Pilar said, just like that paints a picture of who Zenobia was as well. But besides that, she was also an artist. And that's the way she's different from all these women.
And when you say in such a place, like, what is this? Because we don't really know much about the village. We of course, we hear the stories of the women and we can imagine, but because you now the second time said in such a rough and also tough probably space. So what is this village like? How can we imagine? I mean, they tell us, some of them also tell us they are lonely in a way. Also at night, I found this very touching when she talks about it. And maybe the thought of other women in the city calms her down a bit to know she's not the only one who's alone. So what is the special thing about being alone in this city as a woman? Or maybe on a larger scale, maybe we don't know, maybe you can tell us more. Also on the scale of Panama, what does this film tell us about women in Panama, maybe?
Well, Panama is a lot about inequality. And there is a huge difference between being in the city and being in the rest of the country, where the resources are really low, and it's very difficult to get through life, through everyday life, no? To get the things you need, to get the medical assistance when you need it. So as there are not many opportunities, there is a lot of migration. People is emptying the villages, and they come to the city looking for a better life. So many of these women are left in their places, and when we met them, we always find that they have their telephones on the hand or really close, because if the kids that were already working or searching for opportunities in the city were trying to reach them by phone and didn't find them, because the whole thing, no, because they were scared that something bad will happen to them. So they have to be like always located with their cell phones or the phones in hand. No? Yeah, in the countryside in Panama is tough. There's not a lot of rain in that place. It's very deforested. Is the word?
It's very dry. Yeah.
So they cannot get a lot of from the fields, and there is not a lot to eat. No, to put it simple.
But also just like being a woman in a, I think this is not only for a little Panama village, but for many places, the roles that are expected of a woman, to be a wife, to be a mother, and that before anything else, right? You first have to be a wife of and the mother of before being your own persona. And that is something that I think speaks more, not just about this village in Panama, but many places and the situations for many women around the world.
And when we come about how you chose the aesthetics you're using for the film, I mean, when you're confronted with so many aesthetics already being in the room, yeah, so many ideas, so much art in front of you, how Anna was smiling because she probably knows where I want to go to end up, because the question is, how then you don't lose your own ideas in a way, you know, like how can you make a concept of all these pieces you want to add in a way? I mean, in a way you are a curator of art and the filmmaker. So how can you combine these two roles? And for me, you balanced it really well, but how did you manage to do that? Which process was behind that?
Well, the way I see it is the role of a curator, that's right. And it's also the role of being artists. We are being artists in the movie. We created a lot of the artwork that you are involved in during the movie. And it was created with this resonance, no, trying to do it the way with Zenobia's spirit, not the way she would have done it, but in following her spirit with the kind of material she would have chosen, and even the movie itself. We try to work everything there with her spirit.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I think Zenobia is part of the we were always joking that Zenobia was making decisions as we were filming and as we were editing. I think we somehow conjured her spirits. And so she was part of it.
So that means she died before you started, because I mean there are also these scenes in the hospital where we are also where our own images start to decide which story you want to tell. So there are different, I mean, I like the freedom sort of in a way that you free the thoughts that it's not one story you are telling. So it could be different ways the story is leading. But what was there like? So was she died already when you were started shooting?
Yeah, she died in 2013. And we started shooting in 2018. But she was alive inside of Pilar, and I mean, it was Pilar kept thinking of her, and the impact that Zenobia did in Pilar's work, I think was a way to stay alive. And so we decided when we were filming, and not to make a biopic, as Pilar said, but also another thing that we were trying to do is like, how do you portray a ghost, someone that is no longer here, but at the same time is among us, right? Yeah, so she wasn't there at all, and her work wasn't there at all. Pilar reconstructed all of the museum that we see in the screen.
Yeah, but it's also maybe due to a very sensible camera work that we sort of have the feeling the ghost is sort of alive in a way, that because of the little details of the room and the dust that we see, even the spider webs in the dust and the light, I find it very amazing.
I agree. That's the work of Victor Mares, a great.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking how did you find him, and was he part of, because I could imagine it would have been important to have him right in the beginning of the project to feel the atmosphere that we feel when we see the film.
Yeah, we worked with Victor Mares before. He edited one of our films, Reinas, and he did the camera of a previous film, The Joy of Sound. And you're right. I mean, when we went to the museum for the first time, it was destroyed. It was, as you see it at the beginning of the movie, it was what was left, abandoned, and that those images are from our first encounter. I mean, Victor's first encounter with the museum. Pilar saw it before that when it was in all its glory. So, and after that came the work of reconstructing it for the film. So yes, he was part of the process. He saw this thing being gone and coming to life, right? And we also thought about how to film a ghost. I mean, I don't think during the shooting we probably didn't have the answers, but we had the questions, and I think that's important. Even if you can't formulate the answers straight away in a concrete sentence, to have the questions in mind is always a good guidance.
And even the title, For Your Own Peace of Mind, Make Your Own Museum, For Your Peace of Mind, Make Your Own Museum, sorry, is something that gives you some food for thought. So what would be your own answer of that? Where is your museum? Is it Zenobia's? Is it the film, or is it maybe also something else in life that gives you this atmosphere that is like a museum for you?
I think my whole life is my museum.
For me, yeah, I would say, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
No, I think that it's something that Zenobia said, that is literally one of her sayings, and I find it like quite good piece of advice, For me, it's one of her best piece of advice. And means you have to have a parcel of creativity and art for your own, and you have to be the person in charge of that parcel and put yourself there. That was the thing she was doing with her art, no? And in that place, you are the most important person of the world, and you are speaking in first person, and that is really important when I think of that. Say from that little place, no?
Anna, did you wanted to tell us what your museum is?
No, I just wanted to comment on the title that we found it during the editing of the film. There was a work in progress title before that, but when we found the title, I think we found the movie, and that was a really special moment. I remember that very. It was prior. It was before the editing, but after the filming. So I think it guided us through the editing, finding that title, and I was thinking also of for your piece of mind, make your own museum, but also like having a room of your own, and it's almost the same thing, right? Your space and your rituals and
your inspiration, and yeah, and also your time for your own to concentrate in a way and to focus. So for me, it's also a lot about focusing. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful film with us, and this piece of art and this archive. So we hope to see more from you very soon, and we're sending greetings to Panama from Cologne.
Thank you to all the people that are here on the cinema and just watch our film.